us, and that's the really important thing about us being together as a community. So if I think about my main message, or my main kind of why I'm here, what I stand for is quite simple, really, and I've probably communicated it to you over this week, is for me, it's about believing in you as that you can thrive rather than survive as a heart-centered practitioner. It's a really simple message in that way. And I know that that takes courage, and I'm committed in my work to supporting practitioners to realize that they have everything they need inside them. So that's the purpose that I'm holding, that holds me in this work that I'm doing. And within that, I'm committed to providing a structure or a container for that for community and coaching support, i.e. that's the membership. So and then the other thing that is part of my values is that I'm committed to making that as affordable as possible. So all of that is in line with my values as a heart-centered practitioner. So what I'm doing is really in flow for me. And yes, it can be really difficult doing this work and building a small business, but I only need to come back to my values and my purpose to help keep me moving forward. So I hope that's given you an example of why that is so important. So yeah, so what's your vision? What are you here to do? Any comments yet? Any thoughts? I'm still waiting to hear your thoughts. So while you're kind of thinking about that, so I guess many of the things that get in the way of thriving is about being out of sync with our purpose. So that might be about how we show up as practitioners and how we want to show up. So there might be a mismatch there. It might be linked to that about practicing our practice. So we're not quite in integrity with how we would like to practice. So yeah, what does that mean for you to practice your practice? Maybe we don't feel confident enough, or we lack self-belief, or we have a bit of imposter syndrome, and that's limiting the way we want to practice our practice. Maybe some of our values and what we believe in as practitioners are not being lived out by ourselves. We're not practicing what we preach. And there may be all sorts of reasons for that. And we may be quite self-judgmental about that as well. And yeah, so we might have an ideal about how we want to practice, and then there's how it actually turns out. So I'm just looking. Hi, Sheila. This is just Facebook user. Lovely to whoever you are, Facebook user. Hello to you too. Yes, Henry. Sticking to integrity is a very difficult thing. Yeah, absolutely. And I've been reflecting around the concept and practice of a symbiotic world. Oh, I'd love to know more. I'd love to know more about what you mean by that. Yeah, what does that mean, and how does that play out in your practice? Great, thank you. Keep your comments coming. That's great. So where am I? Yeah, so it's that gap about how we want to show up and how we show up. So yeah, do you resonate with the idea of there being a gap sometimes, feeling that kind of gap? And I'm interested in exploring that gap, I guess. So it's about how things are and how we would like things to be. And when I created the Thriving Facilitators, the roadmap, the Survive to Thrive, for me, that was my way of trying to find a way of bridging that gap. So I was drawing on my own personal experiences of my growth. So I've tried to set out a journey to find ways across the gap from survival mode to thriving. And so for me, in terms of that example, it's a gap of understanding of how our experience is created and about the core beliefs that we have often grown up with, and so helping people realize that they can let that go, and then ultimately about realizing you have everything you need. And that's a journey. It's a journey of going from that place to the next. So that is setting out the steps of understanding and our conscious awareness of what is possible for us. But I also want to share that it really is okay to be in the gap. And this is absolutely not about being judgmental at all, because there will always be a gap. But it's about how we understand this and how we are moving forward rather than allowing it to keep us being stuck. So setting out where we would like to be, so having an intention is important, because when we do that, we set ourselves a direction. So I would love to create a movement out of this Thriving Facilitators community. I would like it to be bigger than me. I would like there to be other people working on Thriving Facilitators, supporting people. I would love it to be a global movement. So there's a big intention set there. I've set a direction. I don't need to get obsessed about that end point. I just need to keep taking steps, the next step, the next step. So it's important that we don't get obsessed with the end goal. So it's good to set a direction, but realizing this is a purpose. This is a process, which is really important, and it's being aligned with that journey in that direction. And if that changes, then kind of recalibrating ourselves. So okay, lovely. So Terry, I would like to support people, in particular women going through midlife issues. Lovely, great. So that sets the intention of where you're going. So when you feel held back, or you feel doubtful or unsure about that intention, that belief about bringing something really important into the world that's going to help other people, that gives you the courage, I guess, to kind of rise above the things that are in the way. Radu, in short, I try to offer transformative processes through shared experiences. Lovely. Okay, so that's your intention, and yeah, how can you grow in creating the processes that enable that to happen? And the person, I don't know the name, this is about mutual aid. Okay, lovely. So I'd love to know. Oh, is that is that your response to the symbiotic world, is around mutual aid? Lovely. So some real values there about how you want to work. So Henry, I want the softest voices to be heard as well. Fantastic. So how is that going to show up in the way that you facilitate your communities? Melissa, I think I value being together and creating nice theatre scenes about our lives, looking for mutual and universal stories. Lovely. So again, how does that happen? And how do I identify the gap between what I'm bringing in and what it could be? So thank you so much. I'm loving your value statements and your kind of big whys. Why am I doing what I'm doing? This is great. So keep that coming. So then I guess the other thing to start reflecting on is, what is the gap? So what is the gap between your ideal and what you want to bring into the world, and what is getting in your way? So yeah, we need to be, so like I said, the gap is okay. In fact, there's always going to be a gap, because sometimes we have a consciousnm about what could be possible, and then we're not always quite there yet in our practice, or we're working with people and it's more challenging, or there are all sorts of things that get in the way. So the gap is absolutely fine. It's just about really, again, how we see what that is, what it means for us, and how we can take one step further. We need to be in enough alignment, and so we're not using this kind of end point as something to beat ourselves up with. It's just literally gently setting a direction. So whatever my circumstances, even if they're not ideal, so it might be that I know that some people have left not working at the moment due to COVID, or you want to leave your job because you find your job isn't sort of helping you realize your true purpose. But even when those circumstances around us are not ideal or optimum, what can I be doing to be working on my practice? What can I be doing to take me one step further to where I want to get to? So I'm going to ask some quite challenging questions, and I want to ask them in the spirit of love and care, and also that it pushes you to kind of really think. So my first question: are you walking your walk? Are you practicing your practice? What is your practice, your walk? So spend some time leaning into that. And in your work, what does that mean? What does it look like? So is there a gap between your work and the impact you want to make? Are you supporting others in your work, but you're not supporting yourself? So this is where the walking your walk thing comes in. Are you working towards facilitating the well-being of others, but you're not doing much to support your own well-being. So what are you doing? So if so, what are you doing to enable that for yourself if there's a gap? If you want to create impact, start a movement, grow something, but you have mindset issues that are holding you back, maybe you don't believe it's possible. There's a gap, a contradiction, and you will feel out of integrity. So you need to address the gap. If you're supporting others and you're not getting support yourself, how do you ensure that you get support yourself and address the gap? If you're lonely and isolated, what are you doing to ensure that you get support to do this? Do you really believe that people are wired for connection? Because what we're doing sometimes when there's a gap is that we're not acknowledging the belief that's sitting there. So I got this from someone said this week, do you feel you're better at teaching and inspiring, helping others, and yet you don't do that for yourself, put that into practice for yourself? So then I'm asking you, do you really believe in what you're doing? I think you probably do. So if so, how are you going to get this for yourself? If you want to be a stronger facilitator, what are you going to do to support your growth? I mean, do you believe it's possible to grow? Yes. So what are you going to do to support your growth? If you are being challenged with confidence and imposter syndrome, how are you going to address this? So I'm not judging. I ask these questions because I've asked myself these questions as well. But if we don't address the gap, we can end sabotaging our own growth and limiting what is possible for us. And crucially, that will also impact on the practice that we are practicing with others. And my big point here, which I've written in bold in my notes in front of here, is we can only offer what we have ourselves to offer. So if we don't have that growth mindset, or we don't believe in those things for ourselves, how can we offer that to other people? So it's really about, and this is where it comes back to us and our growth. I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments here. So I think the value of being together and to create nice theatre scenes. I read yours already, didn't I, Melissa? Yeah, I want to be part of a movement of hope within my work and collaboratively lifting stories, voices and lives. Wow, wonderful, Vash. So I love to know what your next steps are towards helping that happen. Pedro, the story of your life. I don't know what you're having a big laugh there, but I'm not sure which point that was making for what it was referring to. Okay, so yeah, these questions are about ensuring that we are in integrity with ourselves, not about getting overwhelmed about things that we're not ready to do yet, because as I said, the gap is okay. It's okay to be in the gap. And they might be challenging questions, but that's my job as a coach to ask challenging questions. There's a whole list of gaps. Great, Radu, that's okay. It means we've got somewhere to go. We've got growth. It means that you have a vision and you have an intention and an end point, which is, if you didn't have that, then you wouldn't notice the gap. So it's really good to be aware of the gap. It's like, Pedro, we believe in what we do and how we support others, but we never follow our practice. We don't give or support ourselves. Yeah, it's a really big one. Many people who are working in the helping professions, supporting other people, notoriously do not put that energy and that time into ourselves. But just go back to that same point. We can only offer what we have ourselves to offer. So if we're insecure and doubtful, that will find its way into the work. If we don't really believe in what we're practicing, then that somehow will come across in our work. So we really need to work on these aspects for ourselves. Okay, lovely. So I'm just finding myself again now, right, after my passion. I'm feeling passionate today. Okay, so going back to day one, where I asked you what could be possible for your practice and your sense of okayness if you were really thriving. So hopefully you did kind of write down some thoughts and comments, and if you've only got the workbook today, then yeah, go back to that. What could be possible for you? And again, my next question is, what few steps can you take to ensure that you are working towards closing the gap between where you are now and what could be possible for you if you are really thriving as a practitioner? And as I said, this is why I created the roadmap, and this is why I created Thriving Facilitators. And and the roadmap, just to go back to that, and hopefully some of you have downloaded some of that. The roadmap is not prescriptive. It's not, and neither is Thrive Facilitators. It's not a course. It won't do it for you. It won't tell you what to do. And this is why asking the questions, and that's what coaches do, is so important, because you are the expert of what you need to grow. It's your journey and it's your reflective practice. But I know that I can help you with the next steps. So in the membership, I might share it with you actually. Hold on, I'm just going to look at your comments. Vash, I want to be really hard to vision the hope for the future when feeling stuck in survival mode. Absolutely. So even that in itself, if I notice that I can't come up with that vision, then that tells me something about where I need to be, something about where I am and my state of mind at this point. That gives me a clue about where I need to be on the roadmap. I need to address moving out of survival mode. Henry, when going to moments of thriving with curators, I see myself being able to talk to many people at the same time, still being conscious of the softer voices. Yeah, that's a really lovely ambition of how we like to we'd like to show up as facilitators, that we're able to hold all of those voices and respond to all of those different levels at the same time. Henry, when I go back to moments of thriving, I see myself loving all people involved, forgetting about judgment, but seeing everybody as special. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you, Henry. And it's like when we're in survival mode, our judginess is there because we're in that kind of threat mode. But when we're out of survival mode, there's so much less judgmentalness going on because we are okay with ourselves. We realize we have everything we need, so we feel more open to others. Okay, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the membership and what how I can help you and how the community can help you. So once you've become aware of that, the roadmap will share inside the membership. There are more detailed milestones for the stages of the membership, and so they help you ask yourself the questions you need to ask yourself. So I'll give you a little insight here. You can't see this, can you? Let me see if I can. Yeah, you might be able to, maybe you could sort of expand your screen. So so you've had a little glimpse of the roadmap before. So this is a little bit more of a breakdown. So for example, if you're in Survive, these are some key milestones that are going to help you move out of Survive. So and you'll know when you've got them. So I'm setting boundaries in all areas of my life. That's a milestone. I notice my well-being and resilience. So we talked about that in, I think, the first day. So often we don't notice our well-being and resilience, but that's a key part of understanding getting ourselves out of survival mode. I've identified the limiting beliefs that limit me. I'm noticing how my thought and feeling changes moment to moment, and that process can really help us to not be a victim of our thinking and our thoughts. I tune into my window of tolerance. I work out what bandwidth I have, and I assess what I need for me. So it's really part of that taking care of myself. And as we go through, so with Unlock, it's about being clear of my values, about bringing more of me into my work. Being vulnerability is my strength is one of the key phrases of that. I'm getting comfortable with what is. We looked at that yesterday, didn't we? I'm embracing my emotions and I'm letting go of the need to fix myself. So once you've worked out where you sit on your what milestone you're going to lean into, that can start to become the frame through which you start to reflect on your practice. So most of the work is actually going to happen as you're out there in the world in your practice. This is the kind of framework that you come back to, and then you can talk about when you're with others in the membership. So with connection, it's about presence. It's about creating conditions to have for others to have insight. So Henry, some of the stuff you're talking about there might be something that you decide to lean on in the membership. When we get to challenge, it's about zoning in on how we respond to conflict and how we respond to challenge. And just looking at it here, so I'm able to notice insightfully what challenge. So that's just a little glimpse of the milestones and how they become a frame to help you with your reflective practice. So yeah, so if you join, just as a summary, in case you didn't see the second day 2, you get access to a platform which hasn't already got hundreds of videos on it, which and a brilliant search facility that can help you to. So if you've decided you're going to set boundaries, I think I showed people this on day 2. You can type in boundaries in the platform, and you can get to the very specific moment in the videos where we look at some of that topic. So that can help you. Or it might be that you're going to look at boundaries and you're going to have hold that in your head when you come to one of the live sessions, and that will be the frame through which you're looking at stuff. So we have monthly supervision, and that's very specifically looking at practice, and we're taking a different lens each month there. We're exploring the 7-eyed model, which is a established model in supervision, and we're taking each lens, and we're looking at how, when we look at our work through that angle, how that impacts on how we see what we're doing and how we're showing up. We have monthly drop-in meetups, which have no specific agenda to them. We have book clubs. So we've got some members here, Vash and Pedro, if you want to share anything about your experience now, that would be great. We have vision and planning whole days, where you can literally use that to really lean into your purpose and your why, and make some plans, concrete plans. And what else? Drop-in coaching sessions. So lots of live sessions. There's usually one thing a week, sometimes more. And all of it, I've designed it to be as affordable as is possible. So it's the cost of a couple of coffees that you might have bought in a coffee shop if you weren't in lockdown. So it's a couple of coffees. I've designed it to be accessible and affordable. It's open until Friday. I don't know when I'm going to be opening it yet, because when I close it, I will be focusing very much on the members and not on kind of getting people to join. But so yeah, I don't know when I'm next opening it. You also, if you do join, you'll get a free book. So for our next book club book, which we haven't decided yet, you will get a free book. I'm also going to be creating a Kickstart Your Wellbeing challenge in the membership fairly soon, to really help people to get to start moving out of survival mode and addressing that survive part of the pathway. And if you have been part of the challenge, I will extend the ICAF rate until today. So if you want to get in at the slightly cheaper price today, do join. And that's just till today. And just click the button on the link and you will see that option. In fact, I need to change it. I will do that as soon afterwards. So yeah, finally, I want to leave you with this, and I really want to hop on a Zoom with you afterwards as well. And Vash, Pedro, if you're available to come to the, just pop into the Zoom, that would be fantastic. So I want to leave you with this. What you have to share as a practitioner is so important. And often we don't really acknowledge that, but it's really, really important. And the impact that you're having on the people that you serve is really, really key. So do the work on the gap. And I know that when you start to feel more in integrity, and it can just be little tweaks, that you will find things a lot easier. I really know that the membership and the ongoing support that I can give you, and just being part of this wonderful community, will really help you to grow. So I would so love you to come and join us. I'm going to put the link to join in the chat. But yeah, your task today is to lean into your vision and your purpose, and then identify the gap, and then just think about 1 or 2 steps that you can make to help you start to work towards that. And remember, it's a journey and it's a process. This is not about judging yourself at all. It's about just being honest and thinking about what the next step is that I can contribute. So come and meet me on the Zoom. Don't be shy, please. And I'd love to just explore, what have your insights been this week, and what are your next steps? And if you do have any questions about the membership, I'm going to invite, I don't know if they're around, but I'm going to invite the members to come in too, and maybe they can answer, or I can answer as well. So if you're slightly unsure about joining, then do come onto the Zoom, and we'll answer your questions. Just quickly looking at the comments. Bosh, oh, it's come off on the thing. I love the sessions. It really helps that you do not have to be linear. Yeah, you bring whatever is happening for you, and the community is so supportive. Thank you. And you like my coaching. That's very lovely of you. Thank you, Bosh. It's a really lovely space. Yeah, so you are always going to be really welcome in this space. There's no hierarchies, and I think I said before, there's a real sense that we are a collective. So whatever someone brings, we will own that for ourselves as well, because whatever your doubts are or your insecurities are, there will not be someone in the room who has not felt that. So that's one of the amazing things about being part of a community of people who have common interests and share your values. Pedro, the Thriving Facilitators membership is my safe place where I can be myself and understand what that means. I crashed, laughed, loved, but mainly have been growing so much. Yeah, thank you so much for putting that, Pedro, and being so honest about, there's been down points and there are up points, but this community is here for you. Okay, so I'm going to go offline now. I'm going to put the link to the Zoom in there, and I hope to see some of you soon. So I'll be sending out the whole booklet today, and I'd love to know what your insights have been throughout the week. So do keep posting in the Facebook group. I will respond to all of your comments, and I'd just really love to know more about your journey. So come onto the Zoom now, and let's see if we can just get some sense of, what's been landing for you this week. So see you soon. Bye.